In this segment of Hampton Roads Business Live, our guest today is Rob Shapiro from the American Red Cross here locally in Hampton Roads. Hello, Rob.
Good to be with you, Rory.
Nice to be with you. I'm glad you could join us today. I think everybody in the world knows about the American Red Cross, certainly in this country, and we see it on the news and all. And I think that there's a broader thing the American Red Cross does for a local community than people actually know about.
That's right.
Because when I looked into it, I had an occasion to work with the Red Cross, and I was amazed at some of what they do. So why don't we start with the mission of the Red Cross, and then we'll go from there.
Sure, Rory. In the simplest of terms, our job is to get the community prepared for emergencies, to prevent emergencies in the first place, and also to respond to emergencies. In other words, we're there to help the community get through some of its worst times by, in some cases, when it comes to like local home fires, which is a great example of what we do locally more than any other disaster, is that we would provide food, clothing, and shelter for people that may have been burned out of their homes.
Wow.
So our job is to get them on their first steps to recovery, and we do that on larger scales as well. So that's what we're all about.
Now, what is the area that your chapter here, I know the Red Cross, I guess, is divided into what they call chapters.
Chapters and regions, and that's right.
And what is yours now?
Well, we have a region that extends all the way up to the Richmond area and beyond, even Fredericksburg, out to Halifax.
Wow.
And then down to the Carolina border, and of course out to Virginia Beach. 14,000 square miles. It's called the Eastern Virginia Region of the American Red Cross. It's a newly formed region, in fact. And so we have a great staff that knows every bit of the territory, and we can respond and help people throughout that area. That's our job.
And it's an awful lot of people to help.
It is, and a lot of space.
A lot of space, yeah, to cover. So the logistics must be incredibly hard to get assets and people to all this area.
Oh, it is, but it's a big job, but logistics is a big part of what we do. And we have taken this gigantic area and broken it up into 7 zones, and we have a professional disaster response team in each of the zones. These are experienced people, they've been trained, and we have the volunteers in each of these zones, and they know what to do, they know their neighborhoods, they know their people, and especially important, they know their local governments who are partners.
Right.
And to get this response to the right people at the right time in the right place.
All right, now, I know they always are saying, as a matter of fact, we just recently had the bombing episode in Boston. And I know that on the news they were saying the American Red Cross has said they don't need any more blood because people rush in to donate blood, and American Red Cross is one of the people that do that. I know that that's one segment that you all do.
Sure.
Could we address that a little bit, and then we'll move into the other segment, which is the fires and the helping the local community otherwise and all. But can you explain why you all collect the blood and where it goes?
Well, number one, the Red Cross provides nearly 40% of the nation's blood supply.
Right.
And our job is to provide adequate, safe blood to those who need it in the hospital settings, okay? So we collect blood from all over our region, all over the country, many, many units. And by the way, I just want to do a quick plug that giving blood is a lot easier than you think. It's really gratifying, and you help save a life, just like that. And you can do that all within about an hour's time. Okay?
And you get cookies or something.
Oh, you get orange juice and cookies.
And more
than that, Rory, you feel great. You feel great about giving it, and you can give blood every 8 weeks, by the way. Okay, so...
And this blood is all tested as far as, so it's safe to use in hospitals
and that's a big part of it, is ensuring a adequate, again, and a safe blood supply.
Right. Okay. So we know that that's important, and people can donate blood, which is an important thing to do. All right. So now let's turn to how you work with a disaster. Okay. Could we just take an example, like a house fire?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So let's say there's a house fire in Norfolk. Okay. What happens there? Do they call you? Does the police call you? City call you? Who calls
you? That's exactly what it is. Okay, so let's just say that in a neighborhood in Norfolk, a multi-dwelling, could be multi-dwelling unit, could be, it just can be a single family home, it can be an apartment building. The firefighters are the first ones on the scene.
Right.
No question about that. The people are evacuated from the home. Firefighters fight the fire, put it out. And by the way, we work hand in hand with the firefighters, of course, and all of public safety. The people are out on the street. People are sitting on the curb. They may not have insurance. They may have lost everything. One of the things that the firefighters are concerned about is that where are these people going to go? They're going to need help. They may have lost everything and they don't have anywhere to turn, but they can turn to the Red Cross. The firefighters call in the Red Cross. They talk to our dispatcher. We send out a disaster action team, which are volunteers, by the way, and I want to stress that. These are volunteers that get woken up in the middle of the night.
Right.
And they're trained volunteers.
I had the pleasure of talking to a number of volunteers.
That's right.
And more so, I also had the pleasure of talking to a lot of victims who were helped by the Red Cross. And it's amazing the stories that they told about how they were just totally lost. They didn't know what to do, where to go, didn't have anything. They lost everything. And then here these people swoop in and put them up in a place to stay and
exactly.
food and all that and clothes and
that's their job. So these volunteers arrive on the scene and do just what you mentioned. We offer them food, clothing, and shelter. We want to get them back on their feet for the first few days. And then other people begin to help these folks. In other words, some of the community groups, maybe faith-based group, maybe some
Right.
government agencies give them additional aid to get them back for the longer term. Our job is basically to get them started on their recovery for the first few days. That's what the Red Cross mission is all about. The critical emergency needs of these people are addressed by the Red Cross.
And of course, anybody watching this, you know that, disasters like a fire or an accident like a fire or something like a hurricane or some natural disaster, whatever, you never know when it's going to happen or who it's going to happen to. So
That's right.
nobody's immune.
That's right.
Everybody's potentially your family could use the Red Cross in either blood or disaster relief or whatever. So it's important for people to support something like that. Not just because they may use it one day, but it is a really good cause. So besides house fires, I mentioned
Sure.
a couple things. What else do you find yourself dealing with mostly?
Well, as far as disasters are concerned, of course, we live in a disaster-prone area. We're in the coastal Virginia region. We get hit by hurricanes, floods, and of course the nor'easters. And sometimes the nor'easters are worse than hurricanes around here, as you know. So we're always on alert. Our volunteers are always trained and ready, and we're keeping an eye out. And as we're approaching hurricane season not too long from now, and by the way, I want to say a quick thing about hurricane season. I always used to say in my 10 years as a PR guy for the Red Cross, I always used to say our hurricane season is generally August 15th to September 30th. Well, the rules have changed, haven't they? Sandy hit at the end of October.
Right.
So I don't predict anymore when hurricanes are coming. But our sea levels are rising. There is more flooding that we're seeing. And so that's a big issue. And of course, people get displaced, and we go through the same steps as we would when there are fires. With the exception of when storms are coming, we open up shelters sometimes.
Right.
That people would evacuate low-lying areas and open up shelters in schools and so forth in cooperation with our local city governments, so these people can get away from the low-lying areas.
Now, when you have a disaster like, let's say, like recently when we're recording this, we've just had this Texas explosion
Right.
that happened. Horrible explosion. Does the chapter there, is it their responsibility to do it, or is this a national thing where all assets are?
Really good question. That's one of the things we're most proud of in the Red Cross. When a disaster happens to one of us, it happens to all of us. We
Good line.
we have assets coming from all over the country in these large-scale disasters. Okay?
I would imagine.
And that was the point. In other words, the Red Cross is going to call in the resources and the people they need from all over the country, and we do it. In Sandy, every one of our emergency response vehicles, which go out into the neighborhoods and distribute food and supplies and so forth, every one of the 323, I believe, response vehicles from all over the country converged on New York and New Jersey to help out. During Hurricane Isabel here a few years back, we had teams and vehicles from Idaho, Arizona, Utah, Mississippi, they were all here. They come to help. That's what the Red Cross specializes in, deploying volunteers, and we deploy a lot of volunteers from Hampton Roads to go to these major disasters.
Now I know this area, of course, is very military.
Sure.
And you all work with the armed forces.
Big time.
Okay.
For
Can
service
you
to the
talk
armed
about that a
forces.
little?
Yeah. We have our service to the armed forces department, and by the way, you know, the Red Cross was founded out of the Civil War because Clara Barton wanted to give aid to the wounded soldiers and their families. So that was very important. Part of our legacy is our relationship with the military, and we have services to the armed forces, and we're known mostly for emergency communications. In other words, if there's a tragedy at home, maybe a death in the family, but more likely we like the ones where there's a birth in the family. We're the ones that notify the individual who's deployed, or no matter where they're deployed around the world, and if necessary, we help get them back home through our communication channels with command. So we're really proud of that, and we've got a long legacy of being a big part of the military community, of course.
Oh, cool. Okay, well, it sounds like you got a big job.
Yeah, and we haven't even touched on health and safety training. First aid and CPR, by the way, is another big area.
Touch on it. Go ahead.
Yeah,
and
if
tell
you
us
don't mind,
about
I'd like to talk about that.
No,
We're really proud of that.
No, I can't read the paper and talk to you at the same time. You do so many things. I thought of one.
We've got a lot to talk about, but thank you. You know, it's those areas. It's our disaster response services to the armed forces and our health and safety training, which is preparedness health and safety training, actually, that we teach CPR,
Right.
first aid, babysitting courses.
I took a Red Cross course in first aid. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. There you go. So you're certified. But these courses are so important for the entire community because it would be great to know that your neighbor knows how to do CPR.
Right.
You know, that you're in a restaurant where the wait staff might have someone trained in CPR, as an example, and first aid. And so having the community prepared, which I mentioned at the beginning, preparing the community, having people trained is a very, very big part of that. And the Red Cross is really, really proud to be able to say, our communities have thousands and thousands of people who know CPR and first aid because they took Red Cross courses.
Right, okay. Well, that's very interesting. Now we come to the part where people watching can help. And I know you all depend on people donating, whether it's blood or money or whatever. Go ahead and talk to us about how important that is and what that means to the Red Cross, and then how they can do it. And
Sure, and you know, we don't do it alone. We don't do anything alone. We do everything with our partners in the community, which can be faith-based groups, which can be government groups, community groups, but also we need the help of the community with their financial support. We're not a government agency, by the way.
right.
Okay, we don't.
I was going to ask that.
A lot of people think we are, but we do have certain responsibilities in working with, it's called the National Disaster Plan. We won't get too much detail on that, but the bottom line is we rely on contributions from the public and from businesses. Mm-hmm. And these financial donations basically give us what we need to help the community. And when you give $1 to the Red Cross, 91 cents of it, 91 cents goes to help the people in need.
Oh, great. That's very low in the charity industry.
Exactly. In other words, base 8 or 9
because
cents
most of
goes
us
to our
volunteer.
costs. Exactly right. In other words, it's because of our volunteers pretty much do everything. Our board of directors, who actually, you know, they're volunteers. The people who come out in the middle of the night to respond to fires and floods, they're volunteers. So we rely on that, the donation of money, and then the donation of time. Okay. Again, volunteers.
Now you're going to give us an address where people could go to donate money if they would like to, and we'll put that on the page here with this interview.
Well, thank you.
And if they need to donate blood, what's the procedure for that? Do they just find a bloodmobile somewhere?
Yeah, well, actually, you can go online.
Okay.
And you can go to redcross.org.
Okay.
And you can find ways to donate your time, donate your money, and donate your blood.
So you can donate time too. So you can become a volunteer.
Exactly right.
Okay.
You know, that's what it's all about. I have a saying, you know, we want you to donate your time, your money, and your blood, and then you can keep whatever's left.
Okay. All right. But it's a very worthy cause, and I thank you for explaining it to us. Is there anything we didn't cover that you want to make sure you said?
Well, you know, I just want to take this opportunity for anybody who's viewing it to thank the community, because again, we can't do it without your support.
Okay.
We can't do it without the volunteers from Hampton Roads. We can't do it without the financial donors from Hampton Roads and the blood donors. So this is a great community to live and work in. And the Red Cross is there when people need us most, and it's only because of the support we get here in Hampton Roads.
Okay, well, the Red Cross is certainly there for us when we need them, so consider being there for them, because they can certainly use your help in, what did you say, in money and blood and time. So, and you can keep whatever's left. That was a great line. Okay, well, thank you very much for being here. And,
Thank you, Rory.
And the information about the Red Cross is on the page below. See you next time.